Hello guys, welcome to the next episode of Late Friday Night's Banter Blitz. I'm sorry for somewhat late start. So we'll try to compensate it with decent chats and good explanations of what is going on the board. And as usual, I want you to type in chat what is going on with the sound, with the picture, with the broadcast in general, because well, some technical problems are usually here, and I will be happy if everything is more or less smooth with the stream. So now, meanwhile, we're going to start. Okay, so it's Waiho's access stream at the moment. Okay, that is good. So here we go. There are a lot of different challenges. So let us try to find somebody I didn't play before. It will be very hard because even this guy I've already played. So Dr. 6 or something like this. So we've never played before. I will accept. And I'm starting with white pieces. So the starting point is 2900s plus. Let's see if I can stay with this level, with this rating by the end of the show. So, classic Sicilian, bishop c4, e6, bishop e3. Let us try something active this time. Usually I castle short. This time I want to castle long. Let's see how it works. Queen c7. So it looks like my opponent is well prepared, which is good, which is nice. Let us attack. A6. All right, this is a preparation of b5. So should I play f5 in this position or just stick to g4? G4 is not that clear in the view of knight takes d4 and then e5, attacking my piece on d4 and the pawn on g4. So let us try f5 instead. That's a typical thing for Sicilian lines of Sicilian. So I have the bishop on this a2 g8 diagonal, and I want to make it active. I want to weaken d5 square. Let's see what my opponent undertakes. All right, in this case, I'll take the bishop. Yeah, b5 is also very natural. Let's put the bishop here. At the moment I have everything protected, and I have some pressure on e6. Okay, bishop d7, kind of normal development, right? So it's sort of preparation of a5, maybe. There is an interesting idea to play e5 now, just to come up with this breakthrough in the center. I'm not sure if it is the best decision, but it looks also very promising, because at very least I will have this weakened pawn on e6. Don't know. Or maybe just to play g4, g5. It is also an interesting thing. Let's try e5. I guess I'm better prepared for this activity. In the center, let's see where it leads. Bishop. So where the queen goes, the first question. Well, this position is quite unusual to me. That is something new. Queen b7, yes, I expect the queen b7 or maybe queen c6 was also interesting. And now what? No, I think I can try g4. But then e takes f5. In this case, bishop f6 followed by bishop d5. Not that clear. Not clear at all. But okay, let's try. Bishop c6. With the idea of bishop f3, by the way. Which I probably underestimated slightly, but at the moment e6 is hanging, so maybe bishop c6 wasn't the best move. Who knows? Now there is a real pressure on e6, concrete threat of just capturing this pawn. And my rook on f1 is definitely better than on h1, so maybe there is nothing wrong with that. Or maybe there is bishop b5, as we can see. Interesting position. So I want to start with g5 move here. Counter-attack. Because it feels like I don't have the time to go away with the knight. So I have to do something really active on the king side. Takes here, all right. Let's take here. Now position definitely becomes open, which is good, I guess. I have a feeling that it was better for black to avoid d5 takes f6 somehow. Because now the g-file becomes open 100%. Which makes the king very, very weak. And my king is absolutely safe. Let's see. If I can squeeze anything out of it. Bishop b4. Strange decision. I don't quite get it, honestly. Well, there is no threat, I guess. Because if c takes b2, okay, I just play king b1. I anyway wanted to do it. So I can simply take on e6, I think. Will be just winning. As well as probably queen to g4. Forcing g6. And then what? Then taking on e6. This should be also winning. Okay, let's just take on e6. Ah, it's lost now. Okay, king b1. I like making moves like this one. Just, yeah, the king feels extremely comfortable here on b1, being covered with not only own pawns but this b2 as well. So, where was the mistake? Feels like black had a normal position. So when I played g4 here, I think it was absolutely normal to try something like this. E takes f5. So everything looks like sort of bluff because I don't have real threats here. So I considered something like a bishop takes f6 followed by bishop d5. But this wins nothing. So bishop f6, bishop f6, bishop d5, okay, bishop c6. Everything is fine, simply. So maybe g5 is better. And I also consider this move, but after g5, okay, what's wrong with, let's say, knight e4 move? I think everything is just fine. So g5 is hanging. If I take on e4, of course, instead of queen e4, black takes with the pawn, and bishop on d7 is still protected. So bishop d5, bishop c6. So everything is more or less fine here after e takes f5. Most likely this action in the center was premature, and maybe g4 was better, intended to play g5 and so forth. All right, let's see, what do we have here? So the next one, in the Demons from United Kingdom, we have never played before, so I will accept this challenge. And white pieces again. Let's do it. e4, e6, now French. So not bad. There is a variety of openings. So we started with the Sicilian, now we continue with French. The next opening will be probably Caracan or something. Let's see. So one of very popular lines here. Queen b6, knight a4. Oh, please don't force me to play according to the theory after c takes d4, because I don't remember it. I don't remember it. Of course, I'm not afraid of that, but yeah. So knight takes b4, c4, bishop b4, right? That was intended. Oh no. Queen c7 instead. All right, decent alternative. Decent alternative to knight takes b4. All right, let's take with the knight. So what black achieved here is some weakening on the queen side. We can notice this pawn on c3, which is potentially vulnerable. But this pawn on b4 is also very good, because it limits the activity of black's minor pieces, especially bishop and knight d7. So, as usual, there are pros and cons. I like this line with white, honestly. So the only thing is to make a correct move here. I don't remember which one is correct. Probably simple a3 or something, or just bishop to d3 can be also just a normal continuation. b5 may be also an interesting move. It's very easy to blunder something here. For example, if black plays b5 now, I go away with the knight to b2, and then sort of sacrifice on d5 maybe, and then queen takes c3 check. I don't think it's very dangerous, but maybe a 9, right? And probably for this reason, a3 should be played instead of bishop d3. I don't remember, simply. Bishop e7, so no sacrifices, right? That is good. So let's castle. Let us simply castle then. g6, preventing f5, but most likely I will have a chance to play f5 anyway later on, when I will be better prepared for this. So now, is it interesting for me to play something like b5 here? I'm not sure. Maybe still f5 deserves attention. Maybe just to play f5 for the sake of the show, I don't know. f5, g takes f5, then sacrifice on e6, or maybe second f5. I don't know, queen gets to h5 quickly. No, it doesn't feel like that's the best way to play it. At least right now, I'm not that prepared for this, I guess. Let's go away with the knight. I think there is nothing to do on a4 anyway. And black wants to play b7, b5 at some point. So I want to meet this b5 with the a4 undermining move. Or maybe I want to play a4 myself very soon to grab more space. This move can be also seen as a preparation of c3, c4 at some point. So we will see which one is better for white. Okay, b5, that is what I wanted to do against b5, just to play a4. Undermining the pawn and creating the threat of just taking the pawn on b5, and if black takes on a4, well, the pawn structure becomes quite good for white. And after b takes a4, by the way, there is a good choice between taking with the knight, getting back to this a4 position, which after this exchange starts looking not that bad already, because I have some active play on the queen side. And also queen takes a4 looks very interesting, just exerting pressure on knight c6. And I don't know what is better here. Everything looks quite promising, to be honest. Even rook takes a4. Okay, let's keep it simple and take with the knight, protecting c3 and so forth. Castles. So maybe now, no, it's still not that great. What can I do alternatively? I can play something like queen e1, h4, h5, or maybe queen g4, h4, h5. Let's try it. Let's put the queen on g4. Also exerting some pressure on the e6 pawn. There is also a slow plan of attack. Also possible, something like queen h3, queen h6. Or rook f3, rook h3 at some point. Alright, let's take it. I don't really understand this, because I have queen e2, simple retreat. So let's do it. Now I have extra minor piece for 2 pawns, but white is better developed. I don't think black's compensation is sufficient. Queen g3, by the way, was also an option to pin the knight. But then bishop d6, bishop f4. Also playable for white, of course. Now especially bishop f4 looks just perfect, no? Or to start with bishop h6. I don't know. Let's play this first. I don't know, bishop g3 maybe. 48 seconds only. Have to be faster, in fact. Let's remove this. Simplification, sort of. And now the knight gets to c5. Very good outpost. One of these guys gets to c5, I guess. The one on a4, because The one on b3 controls a5 square, so it already does useful work. So let's put this one on c5. And the rook feels good here, I guess. On f6. Attacking something. Now where to put my knight? On a5 or d4? Let's put it on d4. Looks like very good blockading position. Okay, let's bring the king to e3 to start with. So I'm not in a rush of taking on a6, for instance. It doesn't really matter here. What matters here is just to centralize all the pieces, to activate them, and so forth. Okay, so I have a feeling that bishop d3 is not correct. Maybe it was just a feeling, but I was slightly afraid of this b5. Then knight goes to b2. Now knight takes e5. F takes e5. Queen takes c3 check, attacking this knight on b2. And looks like I have to play queen d2, where after comes bishop takes b4. Black already has 1, 2, 3 pawns, right? e5 is hanging, so at very least it looks kind of annoying. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is something simple that just gives white an advantage, but definitely deserved attention, because in the blitz game it should have worked well for black. So for this reason, maybe bishop d3 is not a correct move. Maybe something like immediate knight b2, or maybe rook c1, or maybe a3 is a move here. I don't remember, simply. Sorry for this. As for other things that happen in this game, so after castling, I felt already very good. So as we may notice, black struggles to find active squares for his pieces, and if black doesn't play b5, let's say here, I just play a4 myself, grabbing more and more space. So black's position is full of weaknesses of different sorts. That's why I like this line for white in general. The only thing is the correct order of moves, and white should be better, I guess. So it's a dubious line. I would recommend to avoid it. So if you still want to play this queen b6, I would recommend after knight a4, queen a5 and c3 to try something like b6. It is a very complicated line, and it requires great patience, of course, for both sides. And what matters here, what is important about this position, so quick attack is not possible for white. So white has to prepare everything carefully, and in the vast majority of cases, black just closes the position with the c4 next move. Well, it's not that easy for white. That's what I say. Okay. Let's continue. So one more guy I've never played before, and we get to the normal order of challenges. So here it is, Mamamoo Ededu from Sweden. Here we go. Accept. e4. So 3 games with white pieces in a row. And d5, another opening that deserves attention. Okay. Let's play this aggressive thing. So c6, let's put the bishop on f4. So queen d4 was possible, but probably not that great in the view of knight b5 with very complicated position. So after e6, can I still play knight b5? That is an interesting thing, but there is knight d5, so probably it's better to stick to castling first, and then we will see. Alright, what to do now? Bishop e5 looks natural, knight to e4 looks natural. There are a lot of natural moves, in fact. So to keep it simple and play knight e4, let's play knight e4. I don't know. Takes. Queen d5. And that is an interesting question. What to do now? I think I'm simply forced to take on d5 because after queen a2 it will be very nasty to cover a1 square. So I can imagine that white can also try queen e5 here. But after queen a2, alright, c3, queen a1 check, king goes to c2, queen a4 check, king goes to d2, position is unclear. Bishop can't even go back to f8 and black will have extra pawn with my king on d2. It's definitely unclear. Okay, I'll just take it. I'll just take this guy. Now I have pair of bishops and position is not that closed. At the same time, it's not that open. I don't know. I don't want to play c4 at this early stage. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe c4 is the best move for white here. Who knows? I just don't want to define the position this early. So what can I do alternatively? Let's just develop the pieces first. Knight d7, not expected. I expected knight to c6, more active position, but okay. In many cases, it's just a question of taste. Black will definitely try sort of minority attack on the queen side with b5, a5 and so on, but with this bishop on f4 it is rather complicated because b8 square is controlled. That is important thing in my opinion. And I will try sort of minority attack on the other side of the board. Let's see how it works. Maybe it also makes sense for me to provoke some weaknesses with the help of bishop b5 or something. Well, no longer, of course. So let's stick to the plan. h4. By the way, g4 was probably not the most precise way of doing it, because my opponent had the chance to blockade my h3 pawn with the help of bishop h4. By the way, quite typical thing to do. So now I have something to attack, already some targets. h6, okay. So now I don't want to hurry up, so that's why I just bring my rook to the center. Of course, f4 is kind of interesting decision, interesting option, but, well, I'm not sure it works well right now, especially when my son is crying in the background. So I just want to wait a bit, maybe to prepare slightly better for it. Aha, that is the move I completely missed. Very bad, very bad. All right, I have to take. I should have played f3, of course, instead of rook e2 and after bishop d6 to save my bishop. In which case, of course, black's bishop could have been much better than before. But still, I think bishop's pair is something long term. And now black should be fine. Missed the chance. I simply missed the chance. a good one. All right, let's keep on playing. Maybe there will be another one later on. Rook e8. Maybe here is my chance. By the way, this move was possible right after Black King went to d7. But I noticed this possibility too late, when I already played a4, stop and b5. Also not a bad move, of course, but Black could have played something against this f4, I guess. So the point is that now the knight on f6 is quite vulnerable, as well as the pawn on f7. So if knight takes g4, I take on g5, hg5, rook takes f7. Oh, this may be very dangerous for Black, because most likely after that I will have also rook g2 attacking the knight on g4 and getting the pawn on g5. So I will have an extra pawn, and this pawn will be this one on h5. Maybe very bad for Black already. So at the moment I have a threat of just winning the knight, I guess, after rook g1, so if Black doesn't take on g5, let's say. So I can't see where the knight can go after that. Unless, of course, Black plays something like f7, f5. But alright, that's not what probably Black wants to do. And now I do this, so I think it's very natural and straightforward play. So knight is under attack, knight goes away, I take the pawn on g5, I have extra pawn, and it is this extremely dangerous outside passed pawn. Very promising position, probably already absolutely winning. So rook g7 wins a pawn b7, which should be just enough for my purposes here. h6 is also a move, so both look just great. Check. Now I get to g7 with the temple. Check. Takes b7. And h7. Looks just fantastic. So let's now blockade this one. King g6. Right, there are a lot of different methods. I'll just go here. This simplification only helps me. Now I take on a6. And position is absolutely lost. So, I made a mistake. In general, this endgame after exchange of queens should be playable for Black, no questions. Maybe I didn't use the most dangerous approach. Maybe c4 was exactly what I should have done here, with the quick opening of the center. Probably it was just the best one. I mean, c4, if dc4, probably even d5 without taking on c4. This looks like something that is needed when you have bishop's pair, right? To open up a position and then to see what is going on. Maybe to sacrifice some material. I'm not sure. What I did was just too slow, and soon after Black had already quite decent position. So here was an interesting option just to play bishop h4, blockading my pawn instead of playing a6, I mean. Just bishop h4, attacking f2, and after f3, okay, it's possible even to castle, it's possible to keep the king in the center, to continue with the same a6, for instance, and so forth. So now I have problems with proceeding with this h3, h4, and also this bishop controls e1 square, preventing rook e1 or something. And if I play something like g5, there is always h6 or f6 undermining the pawn. But maybe it is exactly what Black was slightly afraid of, because this leads to imbalancing of the pawn structure, and that is probably what I want to achieve when I have pair of bishops. Don't know. But even if what happened was quite good until this very moment, when actually Black played king d7. Yeah, king d7 is already a mistake in my opinion, because I could have played f4, where after I just get to Black's pawns. So instead of it, I think it was possible to play king e7 to keep the pawn f7 protected, or maybe to make this Mysterious move, rook g8, just being ready to meet f4 with capture and then taking on g4. Interesting prophylaxis, and I don't think that white has much. Okay, let's come back to the normal order of challenges. Johann Wilhelm Möbius is here, except. And still white pieces, come on, it's kind of very strange today. And Sicilian. All right. So what do we have? Najdorf setup or classic Sicilian setup? I don't remember what Möbius prefers. Okay, a7, a6. What didn't we play here? Bishop d3 maybe. So it is a stupid looking approach, which usually works not that bad in blitz games. Let's see. Knight c6. Intending knight to b4, right? So let's prevent. Knight to b4. And now let's put the knight on d5. I can see this weakened square. I want to occupy it simply. So very straightforward strategy. Nothing special about it, but I think it works great because I don't feel like this knight c6 followed by b5, including h6, having the king on e8 is a healthy approach for black. So black just spends a lot of time on pawn moves, and each and every pawn move somehow weakens black's position, in my opinion. Alright, castles, just in time, because taking on d5 could be a disaster for black. Now, to take the bishop on e7 is an option, but I think my knight on d5 is better than that bishop. It's not what I want to achieve. There is also an option just to put the bishop on e3, which is not bad for white. Intending to play bishop b6 and so forth, but I think that sooner or later black will take on f4 and I'll recapture with the bishop, so just want to save a tempo. But after bishop b7, maybe it starts making sense to play bishop e3, don't know. Or maybe queen f3, simply bringing the queen to the king side. Something like that. Yeah, this queen f3 looks very natural. So this h6 will be my target very soon. Okay, let's take with the bishop, I guess. Okay. It's very typical, by the way. And that's why maybe it was better for me to avoid queen f3 move. Let's see, what can I do here now? So I can take on e7. Queen takes e7. And then queen goes to h3. That is a possibility for me. And then at some point knight e4, knight f5. But this looks not so ambitious. On the other hand, if I allow my opponent to take on d5 and then take on d3, I don't think I have anything at all. Bishop takes e5 isn't great. After d takes e5, well, I badly need this dark squared bishop to help me attack on the king side. So I don't want to give it up. Finally, knight takes f6 doesn't look good. Well, let's admit it was a mistake for me to play queen f3. At least after e takes f4, I should have played something else, not bishop takes f4. But okay, I still have some tricks, still have some threats, I believe. So let's put the queen on h3, increasing pressure. Maybe sacrificing the c4 pawn just to open up a position. To bring my rook to e1 after that. Maybe again I just overestimate my position. But on the other hand, there is no longer dark squared bishop on the board. There is no longer a possibility for black to cover dark squares efficiently. So even if I lose my light squared bishop here somehow, even if it is being exchanged, we will have kind of opposite colored bishops, which is good in the sense of attack. So let's just try to keep it under pressure. Would be nice, of course, if black plays g5, but it's just a dream, of course. So I need my bishop, let's go away. Knight g4, so attacking me with this knight, but I don't think it leads anywhere for black. Okay, let's see. So now, let's bring the knight finally to the game. Knight e4, now knight to f5. Feels like a very good improvement of the position. Queen here. Now what? I need a follow-up. Knight takes h6? No. Doesn't work. So let's go this way instead. By the way, bishop e2 could have been a move as well. Let's go further. Okay, now bishop h4 looks very tempting to try. Let's do it. Oh, he dares. It's very tempting now just to sacrifice everything there, but I'm not sure if it leads anywhere. Let's take it. I can't believe it will be very simple for black to survive it, but I have no time. That's the problem. Takes. Check. What is going on? I think I win a lot of material now. After this inclusion. Every piece is in the attack. Let's take this one. Should be just lost, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely lost. All right, so I don't think that knight h6 was correctly, was completely justified, but, well, first of all, I thought of this. Knight g7, king g7, rook takes f6, attacking h6, of course, and the bishop on e6, so this is forced, takes, queen takes h6. But the problem is that black has two knights here to cover the king. And even king f7 is playable here. After rook f1, king goes away, take on e6, okay, it's just a compensation, not a clear position. So then I saw this knight h6, which is, yeah, slightly more complicated to evaluate, especially when you have no time on the clock. So I took on h6, g took h6, now what? Queen takes h6, and it's not clear. Let's have a look at this position. So it was interesting to sacrifice something here. What about knight takes g7, king takes g7, and rook f6 in this situation? I know it looks weird, at the very least. But if king takes, I think after queen h6, knight g6, there is a very good checkmate after bishop goes to h4. But of course, it's just a cooperation, right? So black is not forced to go for these complications. After rook f6, it is possible to play rook to h8, protecting the pawn h6. It is also possible to make this tempo move, knight g8, protecting everything and attacking my rook. So it's not clear. Probably I simply don't have enough resources there on the king side. Okay, that was not clear position. Most likely I could have played this much better than I did. Here after queen h3, I'm not sure 100% that e4 is a wrong pawn to take. So maybe it's possible to take on e4. I don't know. So position is quite complicated. Definitely here I could have played better, I think. So queen e1 instead of queen f3 was much more precise, because after e takes f4, bishop takes f4, and knight e5, my queen is not attacked. So here I have much more possibilities, including, say, this knight a5 jump in some lines might be annoying. And simply queen g3 move, attacking h6 might be also an interesting option, but after queen f3 I also had this possibility. So very hard to tell, very hard to tell. Maybe simple knight d4 even deserves attention here, sacrificing something in the center but bringing the knight to f5, a perfect attacking position with some sacrifice on h6 at some point, at proper moment. So I guess that was a mistake. And for black, I think that h6 is simply not needed to start with. So h6, I don't have a threat of playing bishop g5. You can protect your knight simply with bishop e7, knight e7. So I think simple bishop e7 should be played here with castling. It's just to play in a style of knight or without much changes. I guess this bishop on d3 just gives black a chance to play d6, d5 at some point. That's my idea. That's my opinion about this position. Anyways, thanks a lot for this game. Let's continue. The next is Phenomenon. Accept. So, the first game with black, by the way. Finally. e4. e5. I've never played d6 against Phenomenon, I guess. So let's play d6. I'm slightly tired of playing Ruy Lopez exclusively, so let's play this. Castles. Knight f6. And c6. That is sort of advantage of playing Philidor, because you don't have the knight on c6, which may be very helpful. For example, here you can bring the pawn to c6, which is much more logical, all right? Because knight on c6 anyway doesn't make anything useful, in my opinion. So that's castle. Knight e2. Knight e7. This knight simply can be brought to a normal position quickly. let's say this way, b5, knight c5, and knight e6, already here, right? Just compare it to slow Italian when the knight is on c6. It has to do a lot to bring the knight to g6 square to have a chance to occupy f4 or something like this. So, can I try even c5 here? Let's try it. A strange Ruy Lopez arises on the board. Very strange version. With the knight on c6, it could have been a normal one, but with the knight on e6, it is just something different, completely different. But here it controls g5 at least. Alright. So it makes sense, I mean. It is not completely pointless. h3. So it feels like White is just not in a rush, which is not bad for me, because I can also take my time and maneuver my pieces somehow. I would have played something like d4 quickly with white. But okay, just a question of taste sometimes. So let's put the rook on b8, finally protecting this b4. And maybe creating a threat of b3 at some point, let's see. Especially if queen goes to d2 or something. Just a sip of coffee. Should be done. All right. So d4 finally happened here. What to do? Let's take here first. Now I guess queen c7, just protecting everything. Being ready for different sorts of opening of the position. And now if compared to normal position of the knight on c6 here, it can go to f4. I think it is playable. So let's put it on f4. As I said before, it's just a strange version of Ruy Lopez. Interesting position. Not so clear to me. It's kind of fresh. All right. So prophylaxis, right? Okay, let's also come up with some prophylaxis. In case white takes now on f4 and then attacks my f4 pawn, it will be very helpful for me to have a possibility to support this f4 with the g7, g5. That's why I play h6. Knight goes to h4. Intending to occupy f5, which is probably okay because after knight f5 I can play g6. So most likely it's the time for me to play, I don't even know, bishop d7. Normal move that helps me to coordinate my rooks. Now I'm ready for different sorts of activity. Connect with the rook b2 and then rook to b8. Another one, I mean. Now let's get rid of this knight. I can do it. Because my bishop protects h6. And probably knight has to go back to h4. because I can't really see the way for white to justify the sacrifice on f5. In this particular case, white is simply not ready for this queenside attack. Pieces are not coordinated and I have a lot of defending resources, easily accessing important squares. So now it is enormously tempting to play something like this. Queen c8 with a very simple idea of just taking on h3. I'm not sure that white has a decent defense here against this straightforward sacrifice on h3. And bishop takes f4. Well, that's what I wanted to achieve, in fact. It's a positional concession. At least it feels like that. So now I can take on e4. Attacking c3, f2. After knight takes f4, my pieces are not that coordinated, maybe. I can also start with the g5, because it's absolutely playable. Let's start with the g5, but most likely knight e4 was the best move. But okay, I can take right now. I have a feeling that white missed a chance to play knight takes f4. Again, maybe I'm wrong because I just don't have enough time to evaluate everything correctly. Let's take on e1. Now I have extra material, so I'm not that against of simplification. I have pair of bishops at the same time, and good chances to attack white's weaknesses because white has a lot of weaknesses here. This a4, this c3, this d5, all these pawns are potential targets for me. Now I can take on e4 if I want, but I want to start with bishop g7, creating a concrete threat of taking on c3. Now I can take on a4. And now what? Now bishop b5 makes no sense. Let's put it on d7. Takes a5. Just get into a queen. Step by step. a4. Without wasting the time, a3. Rook b2. No obstacles on the way. Now what? Now bishop f5 or bishop a4? Bishop a4 is winning. Attacking the rook, then taking on b2 and promoting. Okay, rook e2 takes a2 and promotes. This doesn't stop me. All right. So there was an experimental way of playing this opening, of course, this knight c5 followed by knight a6. I just wanted to demonstrate to you this idea of bringing the knight quickly to e6, but it doesn't mean it was necessarily a good idea in this particular case. It was a possibility, and probably it was better for me just to keep it as a possibility, not to perform it right away, because after knight f1 and c5, white could have played d4, and I guess white benefits from this situation a lot. So I guess queen c7 is more or less forced here, and after d5, I don't think that knight f4 here is a good idea. Because after bishop f4, e takes f4, there's queen d2 attacking the pawn, and I lose the pawn, or I just end up with a very, very ugly position. So most likely knight d8 is forced here, and most likely it leads to some sort of Rubinstein variation. So sometimes it happens when in Ruy-Lopez black plays knight a5, then queen c7, sorry, knight a5, then c5, queen c7, then knight goes to c6, and after d5, knight goes to d8. And the rest is as follows: knight goes to e8, then g6, f6, one knight from e8 goes to g7, another one goes to f7. Very solid approach, by the way, but white has advantage in space and good perspective. So I think it was the best way for white to play, just to play quick d4 here, to prove that the knight on e6 is vulnerable. That's the point. because when white does nothing, and white actually did nothing, so white just gave me a lot of time to bring my pieces to active positions, we can notice that black now has no problems. After d5 and knight f4, it's different, because after bishop f4, to start with, this e takes f4 is a tempo move, so there is no time for white to play queen d2. Knight e2 is forced, where after, I think it's not a big deal for black to find a counterplay. And maybe I overestimated this position. Maybe it was a good idea for white to play this, because I can't protect this f4 unless I play something like knight h5, and maybe knight h5 is good. As for knight e4, I'm not sure at all, because after knight e4, knight f4, I have some problems with coordination, but maybe I can solve it easily after bishop f5, creating sort of knight c3, some simplification, exchange on c2, and so on. Maybe it's just a blunder after knight h4, I don't know. It's very hard to evaluate it now, because there are a lot of intermediate moves, a lot of tactical nuances. So yeah, probably this c3 pawn is not possible to take simply, after all. Okay, so that deserved attention, because after I managed to play this h6, I guess everything is already very good for black. So black simply has more space. It feels like black has more space here because of this great knight on f4. And now I no longer have the problem with protecting pawn on f4 because I have this g5. So the rest was just simple play for black. Okay. Let's go further. Here is Azure missed, except and probably black pieces. No, white pieces again. So a lot of games with white pieces today, which is very good. Unless it is Caro-Kann against Schelling. In this case, I would prefer playing with black. Not a Caro-Kann, I mean something else. Okay, a6. Let's play bishop c4 now. So I tried bishop d3, bishop c4. Of course, it was better for me to try something like bishop e2, in the other game bishop d3, and then finally bishop to c4, like step by step get into c4 position. Alright. Anyway, I just played bishop d3 in the previous Najdorf game, so... Maybe next time, maybe in a week, I will try this approach. Bishop e2, bishop d3, bishop c4. Interesting thing to do. Castles. Castles. King goes to h1. Preparing f4, f5, and so forth. Very simple play, right? That's why I like this line. Well, in a serious game, in a tournament game, it's probably not the best choice, because honestly speaking, white has nothing here but for blitz. This is just what you need. You can do a lot of moves without much thinking. All these moves are quite natural, so you just attack. You play f4, f5, and so on. So knight g4 is possible, definitely. So it's something like what we played with Kramnik Student. I don't remember during our previous show, or maybe 2 weeks ago, but we definitely had this type of position. Probably my bishop was on b3, not on a2. Because Kramnik Student played this position without queen c7, immediately attacking my bishop, as far as I remember. I might be wrong. So f5 or e5. e5 definitely doesn't make sense here, because black's king side is well protected, so only f5 makes sense here, I guess. Even if there is no attack, there is always a possibility to weaken d5 square and then to try to occupy this square with a minor piece. e5, alright. So now the knight goes to e2. If nothing else, I already want to play knight e5. Okay, rook e8 is kind of strange decision. Don't really get the idea behind having the rook on e8, to be honest. So knight e5, knight e5, bishop d5, queen takes c2. Is it interesting to try or not? Rook to c1, queen takes b2, rook to b1, trapping the queen. So it definitely works. Let's play knight e5. Let's remove bishop takes d5. Oh, queen c5. Queen takes c5 and knight c7 gives me something, alright? Let's take it without much thinking, I guess. It's fine. So knight c7 looks great. Knight takes e4, knight takes a8, rook takes a8, bishop d5. Should be no compensation. So I hope I didn't miss anything here. So bishop d5. Just attacking the knight and this pawn on b7. Now I guess to d6 now. It's very simple, which is very good. Let's put the knight on c3, also natural follow-up. So bringing the knight to e4 at some point. Maybe right now, why not? Or maybe after rook d1. Let's put the rook on d1 first. And then knight e4. Yeah, this is better. Then immediate knight e4. By the way, rook after d1 was strange because f5 was heading hell. Why did I do this? I didn't even see that it was heading, to be honest. Now it's okay, of course, but I think that f6 was wrong. Completely. Okay, let's take this. Let's take this. Now what? Bishop to d3 protecting this, or just c4? No, c4 leads to bishop c6. That's might be very dangerous, in fact. Well, I have to exchange this light squared bishop. If I exchange the light squared bishop, I think it's over. Bishop f7. And now I can play c4 if I want. Just protecting the bishop and intending to play a5, a6, a7, a8, queen. Now let's start with this tempo move, because black, in my opinion, can't afford exchanging rooks. And now let's go a5, a6, a7, a8, and queen. I'm faster. That's what I know for sure. And I control d1 square twice, so even if we imagine that black has something after e2 and rook d1, I just take twice on d1. And that's it. My queen should decide. Check. And queen goes to e8, next move. With the checkmate. Alright, interesting game. I have a feeling that knight e5 was kind of bluff, to be honest. So rook e8 all of a sudden makes sense. I mean, there was a chance to take on c2 immediately. Of course, if black takes first on d5, c2 pawn is invulnerable. As far as I understand, after rook c1, queen b2, and rook b1, the queen has no squares to go away and it is trapped. So I control everything. There is, of course, a possibility to deflect my queen with the bishop g5 move right now or one move earlier, but after queen g5, queen e2 and what? I thought I would have f6, but then queen g4, saving the game. So maybe to attack the queen first somehow. Let's see. Yeah, position is not that simple as I expected. So rook e1 should be played, attacking the queen. So I don't want to give black a chance to bring the queen to g4 once I play f6. Because bishop d7 starts controlling this g4 square. And if the queen goes away to d3, let's say, then f6 wins. Of course, g6, queen h6, checkmate. So maybe h6 is forced here. But now just queen g6. Looks sort of devastating. So there is no tactics like bishop e6, because in this case I just take here. And after f takes g6 I win this bishop on e6. Yeah, it's lost. Simply lost for black. But queen c2 immediately could have been an option. Because now, if I play rook c1, queen b2, rook b1 is not possible because of queen a2. Maybe I missed something here, and I do believe that I will have a compensation even after a simple knight c3 move. So the queen is definitely very bad here, and I have good chances to trap it one day. And I have some positional compensation as well because of this great knight on d5 and this support from the knight c3. But at least it is not clear like it is after queen c5, right? So to knight d5 deserved attention. At very least it was possible just to take on d5 and after bishop d5 to play something like, well, maybe not very good looking move, but still a move. Bishop to f6, blockading the pawn, and then h6 followed by bishop g5 at some point. So why bishop f6? Because I have a positional threat of playing f6 at some point, even sacrificing the exchange there, damaging the pawn structure completely, and my knight is just here to join the attack very soon. So bishop f6 looks like a reasonable prophylaxis here, and then it's still possible to fight. So bishop goes to c6 to control d5 square and so forth. But of course white has very pleasant position here. So this bishop is potentially very stupid. I mean the one on f6, and I potentially have the knight on d5 against this bishop, which is a position very close to winning, but it's still a fight. So queen c5 is a mistake, I guess. And rook e8 is strange. So there is no time for black, I think, for moves like rook e8 here. It's better to fight for d5 squares. So bishop c6 was very natural here. Just covering d5, preventing me from occupying d5 quickly and then trying to do everything to play b5, right? Okay. Let's continue. So here we go, shelling. And it says random, but it gives me white pieces anyway. So let's play it. Let's play it. I mean, Caracan, this main line. I'm almost sleeping, but it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. Queen b6, right? Right. So let's continue this discussion from the previous game. Queen here. So the long line that leads to more or less equal position. So knight takes f5, now knight c4, winning the piece. Okay, knight g5. Probably Schelling just analyzed something here. Because I think that actually it's not the best move. So now what to do? My queen is under attack. I have to put my queen on d3, I guess, attacking the knight on d2. Then g6 on the other hand. The knight takes h6. It's kind of promising. Alright, I don't remember everything here, but queen d3 looks like a move. Knight to e4. Okay, maybe after knight g5, queen g4 was a correct move. Not sure. Position is very sharp and unclear. Yeah, maybe I made a mistake. All right, what about f4 now? f4. I'm a minor piece down. Knight f2, queen g3. Knight takes d1. I'm a rook down. F takes g5. We sort of attack there against g7. So maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. Because there's queen b6 counterattack against b2. It is just so unclear. I don't understand this position. Maybe queen d3 was not correct. Oh my god. Okay, let's play f4 anyway. Very complicated position. Yeah, that is a shit. I missed. Oh. Alright, I think I have nothing better than just playing rook to e1, in fact. It starts looking like a lost position. Or maybe f takes g5, knight takes f5, and rook takes b7 is slightly better, but I don't think so. Then queen takes g5, and black is well coordinated. Oh my fucking god. All right. Yeah, now it's definitely lost. Simply minor piece down. And no compensation. Yeah. There is no way. All right. Yeah. Lost again. Let's see knight g5 move. It is very, very tricky. I thought it is kind of mistake, but then I realized it is not. It is in fact very interesting try. So knight g5. How to play this correctly? I guess I chose the wrong position for my queen, so I decided to put it on d3. But the correct position was probably still g4. Yeah, queen g4 is still a correct move here. Because now if knight e4, I just take it. That's the point. g7 is hanging. And if, let's say, what else? If rook e8, it is a transposition to our game, where after I just take there and take on d2. It is slightly better for white. And if knight goes to, let's say, c4 here, then there is f4, I think. Just attacking the knight. My queen is much more active, as we may notice in this situation. So if knight e6, I just take on e6 with the rook. And if knight d6 here, if compared to our game, here I can play rook d7. It's an interesting trick. So if queen d7, then knight h6 check, and I take the queen. So the position is extremely complicated, full of tricks, and I think, yeah, this queen d3 was a mistake. So after queen d3, I do nothing, in fact. So after knight e4, there is a threat of knight e6, and my queen is simply not placed correctly. So already here I have to think of maybe just taking on e4, but, well, I probably have some sort of compensation for this missing exchange, but I don't think it is sufficient. So yeah, I have very good knight and a pawn, but it's not what white wants to achieve here. All right, so knight g5, another step towards the truth in this line. So I need to analyze it. So maybe next time I will play it again. Thanks a lot. Here we go. Olaf is the next. White. Yeah, queen g4 is probably a move. Whatever. Let's forget about it. Because our task, well, my task today, is to stay above 2900s. And, well, it was a huge step backwards. It was a huge step backwards. So I'm only 12 points above, which is dangerous. Okay, let's try this. Let's try this, and e5, and so forth. d5. Okay, let's take the knight. Oh, really? Okay, so it's just an extra minor piece, right? It's strange. So of course d takes c4 should have been played, but then queen d8, king d8, and something like bishop g5 was planned, followed by castling with the initiative. For white, a better pawn structure, and this, yeah, king is also not that safe, and so forth. Very quick win. Surprisingly, here's smugs and black pieces. Okay. e4, e5. Knight c6. Ruy Lopez, finally. Okay, let's grab this guy. I like the Spanish bishop. Okay. Let's just castle or start with c5 to know. Let's castle. Let's castle, and now let's take this guy. Let's take this guy and develop our bishop. The question is where? d7 is probably a safe square. If b7, then knight a5 is annoying. Really. So bishop d7. Attacking a4. And being ready to meet ab5 with ab5. Rook a8 is no longer hanging. So white achieves nothing with this exchange. Alright, a5, closing the position. Well, it makes sense for me now just to grab the space with the c5, preventing d4. Then my bishop d7 will probably go to c6. Probably. I'm not completely sure. There is also a plan to prepare f7, f5 gradually, so let's try this plan. When you have a pair of bishops, you usually can afford more. So knight h5. And at some point knight g7 and f5. Queen d2. Knight g7. And then f5. Let's do it. Pretty much straightforward. Which is good when you're almost sleeping. So it's quite late already. And it becomes harder and harder to concentrate. There is an interesting try, of course, to take on e4, then to take on f3, bishop e7, queen e7, g takes f3, and to play this position, but I don't think it is a good idea, because I did believe my position is already slightly better, so why should I sacrifice anything additionally? So let's keep improving my position. Now I think knight to... Well, I can take on e4 twice, by the way. Why not? Let's take on e4 twice. I think it just drops the material. Okay, queen e7. And bishop takes e4. If I'm not mistaken, it's absolutely playable here. Knight to g5. Okay. Let's get back to c6. Kramnik student says, regular followers of the show will understand that banter shows has now become like a battle of prep. Well, interesting idea. As for my games against Schelling, yeah, it feels like that. And I'm still very lazy to prepare the normal way. As for other games, it doesn't feel like just a battle of preparation. Honestly. So let's go away. And this drops material once again. That was the idea behind king h8, to avoid check after queen d5, which means this guy is henning on g5 now. Yeah, it's lost. I don't think it is a good idea to give up a bishop at so early stage. I know that it is also playable line, but it is much better once black plays d6 protecting e5, which means black is ready to play knight a5, to play a3 or a4. Both are playable, both are interesting. That's the idea how to improve this in general, because now if I play knight a5, okay, bishop just goes to a2, and still have this perfect light squared bishop. That's the point. Okay, here we go. Next one is Artur Navrovsky. Let's play him. And the next is Miktal. And these two games will be last ones today. Okay, e4, e5, knight f3. Here we go. Knight c6, bishop b5, Ruy Lopez. Knight f6, d3. Bishop b4 check. Do not understand why black gives me this extra tempo. Now I can take on c6 and take on e5, right? Right, let's do it. Here's my pen. It doesn't help, in fact, but I feel like a serious person when I take it in my hand. Come on, it's just a bullshit. Let's also castle. Oh, my friend, I'm very sorry, but that is one blunder after another. Not your day. Well, except for this traditional loss to Schelling and Karakan with white, I guess this time it was better if compared to a bunch of lost episodes. So all other games were quite smooth. Yeah. Okay, interesting. So if I play f3, there is kind of bishop b6 check. It still wins a piece, I guess. After knight d4, so no, doesn't win anything. I'm just slipping already. Okay, queen c2. Just going away with the queen, and there is still this fork. That's what I mean. So I wanted to do something like f3, and if bishop b6 check, I just protect my king, and still the queen and the bishop are hanging. Now the light squared bishop instead of the dark squared one, but there is queen d7 counter-attacking the knight. In that case, here it doesn't work. It doesn't help, I mean, because I just take the bishop on a5. In case I attack the bishop on g4 with the f3 pawn, it is another story, of course. All right, extra what? Extra minor piece. No compensation whatsoever. An extra pawn in addition. Absolutely winning position for white. Absolutely winning position for white. There is no much sense in playing it, honestly. But last time when we played, everything finished with a disconnection. So I lost the game. I disconnected. So maybe Artur wants to win this extra, I don't know, 30, 40 rating points. Waiting for a disconnection, but I think it's highly unlikely today. I mean, everything just works fine, more or less. So let's keep position closed. I can afford it, right? I still have an extra minor piece, an extra pawn. Why? Because I took on c6. So at the moment when I took on c6, I had 2 extra pawns. That's the reason why I can give my opponent 1 pawn and still be a pawn and a minor piece up. Magic. Okay, run out of coffee. That's bad. As for the rest, I'm fine because I'm winning. Yeah, by the way, guys, feels like I'm just catching up after vacation. So I'm going to come back to Banters, this live broadcasts on my own YouTube channel, and I'm going to do the next one on Sunday. So you're welcome. I didn't know the time exactly. It will be maybe in the morning, maybe something like 11 o'clock, something like this. Just to make sure and not to lose the opportunity to play, so to attend in time, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and at the same time to activate the reminder of live events. So on YouTube there is a this small picture of the bell next to the subscribe button. Usually it looks like that, so you're welcome. Okay, I guess it's time to resign gradually. Well, it was the time to resign many moves ago, in fact, but okay, we're still playing. F7. F5. Trying to trap my bishop, right? Okay, let's put the knight on b5 to prevent it. Now let's take this pawn on c7. Yeah, it's lost. So there is nothing to comment. Bishop b4 was already a strange decision. So after c3, the bishop is at very least forced to go away. And most likely just win a material right away. Unless you play bishop d6 move here. So after bishop a5, I just take the pawn. I'm already a pawn up and so forth. And yeah, after castling, and d6, knight c6 wins the game, of course. So it's absolutely lost, I mean, already. So many extra units. So let's play Miktal. It feels like we haven't played for ages, right? At least on Chess24 and in general. So Nimzo, here is Nimzo. Queen b3. So Fuxia says the downside is that awful YouTube chat. That's why I actually invite you guys, because you can make this chat the best place ever. So everything in your hands, I mean. So queen b3, c5, I think is a move here. e3. Quite a modest reaction, so let's make a castling first. And then we will see what to do. And bishop to a5, I think. Just saving the bishop on the board for a while. If dc5, then knight e4. And I can play knight e4 in this situation as well. I want to make this pawn structure just a hell for my opponent. There is usually a good question with which piece to take on c3. So feels like I can save the bishop on the board and at the same time to damage the pawn structure to knight c3, but it's not clear if my bishop will be really useful on a5. So usually the typical way of attacking these pawns is to play b6, bishop a6, and with the bishop on a5, well, it will be slightly hard, I guess. Maybe it's just a wrong idea. Maybe it's okay just to take on c3 with the knight. Okay, I'll take with the bishop. Let's play something standard. As I already said, I'm almost sleeping, so I need something straightforward and something good, recognizable in this play. based on these maneuvers like b6, knight a5, bishop a6 is very simple. Knight e2. All right. Let's start with what? With this move. Queen obviously goes to c2. And now knight goes to d6. Also typical thing to attack c4 additionally. I give my opponent a chance to occupy the center, but I'm greedy and just want to win a pawn on c4. a4. Alright, I can take on c4 right now if I want. And I do want. Why not? So, a pawn is a pawn. Moreover, this knight on c4 is a monster. Usually, just limiting the activity of this bishop c1. Now I can play bishop a6, I can play d5. Let's start with the bishop a6. And then d5 if necessary. Queen a2, for example, I'll have to play d5 because my knight on c4 is pinned. I can't go away. Okay. Opposing colored bishops, right? Not a problem. Let's keep that bishop passive. For this purpose, I'm just trying to occupy dark squares with my pawns. Okay. Where to put the queen? Let's try this g5 square. I haven't decided yet where to play. On the king side, on the queen side, or maybe I'll try both. Who knows? Let's have it somewhere here, controlling both sides. Exerting pressure everywhere. Queen d1. Okay, let's simplify a position. Let's try to convert it. I mean, it should be convertible. Especially after this, I think it was kind of help. Serious one, by the way. Now I put my bishop on d5 with pleasure, blockading this guy on b2. So this guy on b2 remains very passive. That is an important thing, in my opinion. Now what about this pawn? Is it a healthy one, or I can grab it easily? Maybe not easily, but okay, after some simple prep. What is going on? h3 was played, okay. Rook c2. Oh, bishop c1. Okay. Let's keep exerting pressure. b2. Very close to. Almost there. All right. So, in general, queen b3 is, in my opinion, not that great because of that. So, when your queen is on c2, the difference. When the queen is on c2 and I play c5, and for example, you play a3, usually I don't have a chance to play bishop a5, because in this case, you just take on c5, creating sort of b4, and you control e4 square, so I don't have a chance to play knight e4. Now let's see what happened here after queen b3, c5, for example, a3, or it's better to show you what happened in our game, because it happened one move later. I can play bishop a5 because you don't have b4 follow-up, and if you take on c5, I just play knight e4, attacking c5, and already creating threat to damage the pawn structure. That's a big difference. That's why I think queen b3 is simply ugly if compared to queen c2, normal development. But it doesn't mean that it's not playable. It's just not that ambitious if your opponent reacts the correct way, in my opinion. As for the rest, of course, I didn't play the best way, I guess. So here, after knight f3, and knight e4, it was okay, bishop e2. But here, I just took on c3 too early, I guess. Maybe it was better for me to start with cd4. I'm not sure, but okay, bishop c3 is also absolutely playable. Knight c6, knight e2. Yeah, so here, I guess black is just fine. So I just keep attacking the pawn c4. It's very hard to protect it. I have a lot of resources. If you play d5 or d takes c5 at some point, at very least I have this queen h4 additional attack against. But I already have two knights attacking here, and bishop a6 is coming. And you are not in time to come up with the attack in the center and on the king side. So it's a typical pattern. I mean, you maybe even sacrifice a pawn there, but you have pair of bishops and some sort of attack on the king side usually when you play this pawn structure, but it is not exactly this concrete position. So this particular case is different. That's what I mean. Yeah. Thanks a lot for being with me. I have a feeling that this time it wasn't that bad in the sense of the quality of the sound and the picture. What is really important wasn't that bad in the sense of the quality of my play. And I'm not sure about the explanations today. I was trying as usual to give you a clear understanding of what is going on the board. And except for the game against Shelin, which was more of, again, a discussion about this opening line, not a real fight. Because, well, it's something different if compared to other games, right? I'm more or less satisfied with the results. And as I said before, you're welcome on my channel this coming Sunday around 11 a.m., I think. As for premium users, you're welcome to the next episode of Training Tuesday. It will be the episode number 49 this coming Tuesday. We'll continue with some interesting and instructive studies again. And then I will announce the episode number 50. So as I said before, I will need your help. As for the rest, wish you a good weekend and see you soon. Bye-bye.